Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Firstly, huge apologies for keeping you waiting. The meeting was a very good meeting, and for that reason, unfortunately, ran on a little bit. So again, apologies for that. It is the traditional press conference at the end of the traditional meeting between the IOC's Executive Board and the IAAF Council. I need hardly introduce my two guests, but I will do anyway. President of the IOC, Thomas Bach, and President of the IAAF, Lord Seb Coe, and obviously at my far end is Jackie Brock-Doyle. So without further ado, I will ask President Bach first, and then Lord Coe to say a few words, and then we'll go straight into questions and answers. So thank you very much. President.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon to all of you, and thank you very much for your interest in what happened to be a very fruitful meeting between the IAAF Council and the IOC Executive Board. It gave us, first of all, the opportunity there to officially congratulate then Sebastian Coe on his brilliant and unanimous re-election as president of IAAF, which I think is particularly remarkable after 4 years of reforms, and knowing by my own experience that when you're undertaking reforms, this does never please everybody. And being there re-elected unanimously, I think really speaks for itself. We had the opportunity there to exchange a number of points of views and to envisage some joint efforts with a number of topics. I would just like to highlight a few. First of all, the question, how do we maintain or even strengthen the relevance of sports among the youth? How can we attract young people to sport, and in this case to athletics? We have also been addressing an issue we are facing in the world of sport, and one of the challenges I think we have and we will have, that's the growing tendency of the politicization of sport, which does already affect and which can even more affect the universality of sport, which is a priority in our mission to keep this universality. We have in this context then emphasized that in order to keep this universality, we must apply strict political neutrality in every respect, and clearly show that in sport there is no discrimination for whatever reason, including political reasons, and only if we apply from our side this political neutrality, only then we can we can expect that the political side respects our mission and allows us to be politically neutral, because this we cannot do on our own. We need the respect of politics, therefore our mission of universality. We also have discussed the approach to transgender and DSD athletes, where the IOC, with a working group of experts from all walks of life, athletes, sports organizations, human rights, ethics, of course scientific expertise, is working on a framework which then can serve as guidelines or framework for the international federations, who then have, of course, to determine about their own rules within their federation. And as you can see there in IAAF, even among their disciplines and different events. We have also learned about good cooperation between the Athletes Integrity Unit and ITA, in particular with regard to the Tokyo pre-testing program. Because, as you know, the IOC is very much interested to catch any cheats already before an Olympic Games, and has therefore again initiated a vast and wide-reaching pre-testing program for Tokyo. In order then to make the Games as clean as possible. We have also been discussing the preparations for Tokyo, for the Youth Olympic Games Dakar, for Paris, and have realized that also in this respect we are aligned in our approach and in our analysis of what sport needs for the future. There, to give you again an example, you know, the IOC with the new program for Tokyo has made the Olympic Games Tokyo 2020 with the biggest reform of the Olympic program for decades, more urban, more female, and more interesting for youth. And there, IAAF on Inside is greatly contributing to this, in particular with regard to the mixed relays, which will give a boost, I think, to female athletics. So these are some of the highlights, and it goes without saying that now we are all looking forward to the start of the competition, because this is what it is about, and we're looking forward to attend the opening ceremony tonight, and then the marathon women race at midnight. That's it from my side. Sepp, you want to?
Well, thank you, Thomas, and you very helpfully have taken me through everything I was going to say as well. So I thought, let me just, first of all, thank you. We've just come from a very good meeting, and we are the one sport that does meet with the International Olympic Committee during the course of our championships. We don't take that lightly, and it was a very good opportunity to have a wide-ranging discussion. That's why we're running a little bit late, but it was really worth remaining there to discuss all the issues that Thomas has just identified that we spoke. But I thought I'd just pull out two specific areas. One, and it really touches on 2 points the President has just made. The first, that our biggest challenge, and we recognize that around the table, is to maintain in both our organizations a salience, interest, a relevance and excitement for what we're doing in sport. And sport isn't actually uniquely our only competitor. It's not that athletics can sit there any longer saying, well, you know, it's swimming or gymnastics. It's the rest of the world, and it's been that way for a long time. And the one thing that we both recognised on both sides of the discussion was that the landscape in sport has changed. We can no longer rely on the traditional pyramid. There are many more actors, many more players in the field, and life is more complicated, and that we always have to be alert to that. We've just come out of a Congress where, again, to pick up on a point you made a moment ago, Thomas, that encouraging more women into sport is fundamental on the field of play, and I'm delighted that we head into a World Championships where we are pretty much 50-50, but that we also need to recognise that in our governance structures, that has to look like the world that we live in. And we come out of this Congress and this elective Congress with, for the first time, a female vice president. That was part of our changes in the governance reforms, and also now 8 women on the council. And we are moving very well with the work of our Gender Leadership Task Force towards a 50-50 split by 2027. And in the World Championships themselves, our ability on this occasion to innovate around mixed relays, to innovate around evening-only sessions, the midnight marathons and race walks, partly, of course, because the welfare of the athletes are also important to us. The ability to be able to showcase our combined events personalities, male and female, on the same day. All these things are, in a way, a really good incubator to be able to see whether in future World Championships that may, in fact, be the way forward. We also had a very good discussion around the need for good governance. I was able to take the executive board and the president through the journey in the last 2 years. They've been following, obviously, very closely. This time 2 years ago when we met in London, we were able to talk really only about the first 2 years of that journey, the special Congress that got the 200 changes across the line in 2016 in Monaco in November. By 2017 in London, we were really in the implementation phase, and I was very pleased to be able to report that since we last met in London, the implementation is there in full, to the point where during the Congress we had a presentation from the Athletic Integrity Unit, the centrepiece of those reforms, the vetting panel, the election oversight teams that are there in the conduct of those elections, and of course a report on the disciplinary and the tribunal committee. So it is, these are the reforms that are in place. They are in large part, well, they are implemented, and the bodies are now beginning to work closely together. And if I may just conclude, the one shared concept around the table was the need for our sports and our National Olympic committees to remain free from political interference. It is really important that we have the primacy to be able to make judgments that we believe are in the best interests of our organisations. And, you know, we probably come from the same era and both served on an Athletes Commission that was in large part responsible for changing the approach to political interference in the Olympic Games and closed down the concept of boycotts really forever. It was taken off the agenda. So autonomy for us is very important. There were other discussions, but those were the 2 or the 3 meaty pieces of that agenda. And I think that we then had very good dialogue around the room on a number of issues. But I think that, I hope, sort of synthesises and captures. But again, it was a very good opportunity just to share the roadmap going forward and see the areas, particularly around working in that space that encourages just more young people to want to be part of the world that has been passionate and shaped our lives. And we agreed that there are some areas that we can jointly explore together. So, Thomas, thank you very much for hosting us today, and I'm really pleased that you're able to spend a few days with us at the Championships.
I thought you were paying for lunch.
Okay, thanks everybody. We really only have about 10 minutes, but usual drill, if you put your hand up and let us know who you are and where you're from. Yes, gentleman in the second row. Thanks.
Good afternoon, Mr. President. Jean-François Fournel from the French newspaper La Croix. My question is to two presidents, but two human beings, and I want to know what you can tell to those 30 human beings who will run without their flag in those competitions. As human, are you aware of their feelings? Those people who will run without their flags, okay, the Russians, to be simple. And first question, second question: do you never doubt